Hello, welcome to 4 Minute Film School. My name is Valentina V, and today we are talking about action hero intro shots. How do you light them? How do you shoot them? Let's go. So I'm here with Andrew Kowalski. He is a feature film cinematographer, and he's actually shot a action adventure film, which is why I asked him here. So Drew, what are some things to kind of watch out for in action adventure filmmaking?
In a lot of action adventure films, you'll see a lot of like shafts of light, a lot of textural lighting, a lot of haze and fog to create those shafts of light and texture.
Well, let's play around with that. Let's go. So the first setup is from a beloved movie franchise. This shot is actually when Indy comes in and you don't actually see him at all. You kind of just see his shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was your main concern for this shot?
So our main concern for this shot was not getting the actors' shadows crossing each other, not getting double shadows on the wall.
So the first light I imagine that you wanted to place was the light that's creating the shadow of the man, the silhouette, right? Because you want to know where that falls on the wall so then you can stage your actress in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. And so for that light, we used a 300D Mark II with a spotlight attachment. It was low to the ground to get his shadow up the wall as much as possible. And we gelled it with full O and half straw to give it a lot of warmth. We also flagged the light off the left side of the light and the bottom of it so it didn't get on the floor and it didn't hit her at all during her walk up to camera.
So the second light you placed was actually for her at her first mark, where she was still up against the wall before she walked up.
Yeah.
Why was that light there?
So for her key, we used a 300D Mark II, again with a spotlight attachment. We gelled it with full CTO just to make it the same color temperature as everything else in the room. And it kind of did two things. It gave her a nice sidey key light when she turns around to face camera. And it also gave her a little bit of her own shadow on the back wall, which makes the light look a little more believable and also kind of matches his shadow a little bit.
So then she walks up to camera, and what I liked about this is that the direction she was looking was actually not at our actor at all. The actor was standing like 5 feet to the right, and you gave her a separate mark because it makes it look like she's looking at our shadow actor, but she's not really. And she steps into a new light, her key light. That was a bunch of stuff going on. Can you explain it?
So for her key, we kind of wanted to emulate a fire light coming from below. And so we took three 120D Mark IIs. We gelled them with various colors of CTO, straw, we had some like chrome orange on there. And then we had the center light was just constant. So she constantly had some kind of key light on her. And then the other two we had on the faulty bulb settings, which you can do on the new 120D Mark IIs. And that was to kind of emulate the flicker effect of a fire. We set up an 8x8 of unbleached muslin, which the unbleached muslin warms up the light even more while also softening it for her key. And that kind of bounced the light back towards her. And then we added a 4x frame of opal just out of frame just to soften the light on her face a little bit more.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at how you built this. All right, so for our second setup, it's another beloved movie franchise. I love it personally. This is 007, James Bond. This particular shot is from Skyfall, but it's not really. It's more like inspired by Skyfall, right?
Yeah, so the shot itself and the composition we kind of took from Skyfall, but because of the space we were in, the lighting itself and the color temperature of the lighting we kind of borrowed from Game of Thrones, and so it's kind of a mashup of the two.
So in this particular shot, it is mostly out of focus because your focus is in the foreground, and it's pretty much almost always in silhouette. You have that big window in the background, and there's a very punchy light going through that window. So how did you accomplish that?
So to get that amount of light through that window, we ended up using a 1.2K or 1200 watt HMI. It's a daylight balanced light. It's very punchy. So we had a medium wide lens in it, which filled most of the window. and created that silhouette and gave us that punch to reach all the way through the room, but then it wasn't quite filling the window enough, so we ended up adding an extra 300D Mark II to the window, just to fill the window with a little more light and to give some more light on the floor.
Yeah, so you didn't gel either of those, right?
No.
Because they're both daylight,
Yes.
so they kind of combine.
Yes.
You can't even tell that it's two lights.
No.
It just looks like whatever that is, sunlight or
Yeah.
or hall light, whatever that is. And then, of course, there's that one kind of slash that's going through the
Yeah.
actor's eyes right at his last mark.
Yes.
How did you accomplish that?
So for that, we used 120D Mark II with the new spotlight attachment to really barn door in that light just on his eyes, and the shutters on that spotlight attachment really allow you to shape the light how you want it. Just so it wasn't so sharp, we defocused the lens a little bit, and then we added some negative fill on the opposite side of camera just to really create that dramatic fall off to the light.
I think it's really cool that in an intro shot of a character, you can't really even see the character. I think a big misconception is that whenever you introduce a character, they have to be perfectly lit with a nice fill light, 3-point lighting.
Yeah.
That's kind of boring, especially in action.
Like, this character's supposed to be a spy and you don't really know his motives right away. You kind of want that mystery surrounding him, and you kind of want that in the imagery.
So let's take a look at how you built this. So, last setup, not really based on any particular franchise. How did you go about thinking of this setup?
And so this is more kind of like if you were watching like a Michael Bay movie, or like I kind of drew inspiration from the Uncharted video game series, or maybe like Tomb Raider. This is like your hero is like bursting through a door to either like save somebody, or he's catching the bad guys or something like that. And so that was kind of our idea behind the shot.
And it also is based on what the location looks like as well.
Yes, exactly.
So the first light you actually put was on the wall behind.
Yes.
What was that?
So for that, we use an LS1C on tungsten mode, and that was just kind of uplighting the wall to give it some texture. And also we put it on the tungsten mode to give it some color separation from the rest of our lights.
And then similar to the last setup where you had the HMI going through the window, this time you had it going through the door.
Yes. So we use the 1.2 or 1200 watt HMI deep in the background. When he opens the door, it's kind of creating a shaft of light through the doorway, which is motivated by a window that you can see in the background. And it kind of pings the doorway a little bit, and we add in some fog to get that nice shaft of light for texture.
So then of course you had to light your character as well, so you started with kind of an edge light off to the right. What was that?
Yeah, so for his edge we used a 120D Mark II just with the reflector dish on it. And that was kind of high up, tilted down, and it was really just to etch him out from the background and also give him a little texture on his cheek.
So for the key light, you used a 300D, and you actually only diffused the top part of it.
Yes.
So what was that and why?
For the diffusion we used, it was 250, which is half white diffusion. It's made by Lee. We only diffused the top half of it because I wanted the light soft on his face, so it modeled nicely. But then I wanted it harder on his torso and his legs, but also just extra texture. And this is a lighting technique you'll see a lot in action adventure films.
So what you're saying is soft face, hard body.
Yes.
So you had one more thing, which was a bounce.
So on the camera left side, we added a 4x4 of bleach muslin. Bleach muslin is a really thick diffusion, but you can also use it as a bounce material, and it just kind of lifted the shadows on the opposite side of his face a little bit, and also under his neck. We used it as a floppy to get part of it on the floor to get the light under him a little bit.
Let's take a look at how you did that. So that is your episode on action, adventure, intro shot, hero lighting. As the hero walks in, what do they look like? I think it's really cool that not all of these setups featured the hero's face. One of them was just a shadow, and the other one was just basically an eye. You don't need to see the hero to have an idea of who they are. And we also used fog for all of these setups, right?
Yeah, so we used fog in every setup to create those shafts of light and that textural lighting in the background, but it just helps give you a little bit more detail in the shadows.
So get a fog machine if you're gonna shoot action adventure. And also remember, soft face, hard body.
Exactly.
Whether that's like 2 lights, a softer light on the top, a harder light on the bottom, or just diffusing the top half of a light. So our comment question this week is, what is a shot from an action hero movie that introduces the main character that you really like, that really spoke to you, that's lit really well? Please let us know, describe it. The best answer is going to get an SKB case, like the ones that come in our kit, just without any of the lights inside. They're pretty sweet. I kind of want one.
They're pretty cool.
If you enjoy this, if you enjoy what we do, go ahead and subscribe, give us a like. Also comment other things other than the comment question of the day. I would like to hear it. Drew would like to hear it. What did you think of this episode? We want to know. Of course, you can also follow us on our respective social medias. All the links are going to be down below. I hope you have a great day. Bye.